Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. And this will be recorded and sent out to the humans that know that they need the power of AI with grant writing. So that's what we're going to do today. So let me just find the PowerPoint and get started. So where we are today, slideshow, current slide. So, from idea to impact, your story, we want to amplify it with AI, and that's what we have been doing to date. This is the third AI webinar together, and today we're going to focus on grant writing, a guide for you, youth entrepreneurs, actually any entrepreneurs who need to find grants and then use AI to write a winning grant. So, we had how to discover what AI is and discovering your unique value proposition. So it's good to go through that exercise because you'll need to know that when you are answering a prompt, answering a grant. So that is an excellent first step. Getting you ready to write a grant, you need to know your value proposition. You need to then know who your clients are and what their pain points are and how you're going to meet their needs and talk to them properly. So the second part, which was using AI in marketing, is one that you'd like to review as well. And then now we're ready for this today, which is using AI to write a winning grant. So before we can write a grant, we need to find that grant. So I put this just you are AI is the needle, you're the artist. So without you, AI certainly won't know how to write your grant, is what I'm trying to get at here. So you have knowledge, you have history, you have vision of what you are doing. AI doesn't replace your story, it just helps you find the funders and structure your story and connect. So you also need to remember when you are using AI to help you create your grant, especially the free AI, you never want to write things that you consider are your secret sauce, your private information in the AI tool, because then you risk the security issues that go along with using the public AI. So in this case, I'm trying to share with you how to use tools that are free. So the free ChatGPT or the free Gemini. And in that case, when you are using it and asking it questions, you can definitely put up the grant information because that's public knowledge. People know the grant is out there. You can definitely put out there who your target market is because you've done that research online. But when it comes to what your actual financials are, you may want to keep that private. So those kind of things you may not want to put on the actual AI that's public. So that's kind of the rule of thumb is if you want, email it to a stranger, don't put it onto the public AI in one of your prompts. If you want to use AI to help you and you'd like it to look at your financials, then you need to upgrade and bring AI into your Google system if you want to upgrade that way. And that would be putting Gemini into your Google system so it can look at your spreadsheet and give you advice. But that's a whole other discussion that we might get into next year. Today, I just want to share with you how to find a grant and how to have AI help you respond to it. Okay. So we're looking at how it can help you find a grant. I'm going to share with you some prompts that'll help AI know what kind of grant you're looking for. So that's the first thing is finding your grant. Here are some key organizations that I found. I'm sure I'm missing a number of them that I just put in a prompt and I'll have that prompt available to you. And the prompt was, I'm a youth entrepreneur from Saugeen First Nation creating, then you want to put down what you're creating. And I'm searching for grants and just say when you'd like these grants to be open in Ontario for Indigenous youth artists is what I'm making up there. And then it came out with these types of organizations that currently had grants. So that's cool. And then it had links to each of them. So then we can go to those and find the grants. So excellent. So then what you want to do, the next thing we'll get into, so we're going to do that first. We're actually going to create that prompt. Then we're going to get into, okay, so now that I found these grants, we're going to get AI to help you decide if you meet the criteria for this grant. So I'll show you how to do that. And then we're going to start filling out the grant. And that's where we move to this part. So all you need to do is put out some rough ideas as to what you'd like to put into the grant. And then the grant will help you write it in a way that it makes sense for that. Sorry, the AI will help you write it so that it makes sense for you to win that grant because you've uploaded the grant to AI. It sees what that grant is looking for in order for you to win. So now you've uploaded your bullets to AI as to what you'd like to submit for money, why you're going to use that money, how you're going to use it. So then it'll convert that into a winning grant. It'll make sure that it's economically resilient, culturally affecting the community properly. So it'll use the words that the grant receiver is looking for. So that's excellent. So you need to know what you do best. So that's what you'll share with AI in the what you're sharing with them. And then what it'll do is it'll make sure that what you do is then expanded in the words that the grant people need to see. And then the grant often allows you to send in additional information like a video or like more images or your product information. So this is where you can get help from AI to create your logo if you don't have it already, to create some high definition images or videos if you do not have them already. So there's AI is built into Canva. And the reason I'm bringing Canva forward is I understand a number of people that will be viewing this already have access to Canva. So it's not something you have to learn new. It's something you already have access to. But Canva has, I think in November of 2025, launched 9 new AI abilities, features to it. So you can now ask Canva to create a video and it'll create the video for you. You can ask just in normal language Canva to create maybe 5 slides of a presentation for you based on this information. So you're taking the information that AI has helped you write up to this point, and then you turn that into the image or the video or the slide deck that you'd like to accompany your grant response. So those are kind of the 3 different elements that we're going to talk about today. There's something called a rubrics, which some of us may or may not be familiar with. So a rubrics is how those people receiving your grant application, how they're going to mark it. So they're going to give you certain marks for this part of the grant, certain marks for another part of the grant, certain marks for another part of the grant. So that's really cool. So you need to make sure that you are getting the full grades on this grant. If you forget one part, then all of a sudden your grant will have a lower mark, not because you don't deserve the grant, just because you missed a part. So AI can help you make sure that you are meeting the entire criteria or the rubrics measurement tool they use. I teach at Trent University, and they use rubrics also as a professor when you are giving out an assignment to people and they fill in the assignment. There's often a rubrics for that. It'll be professionalism, quality of your answer. Often I like to see uniqueness and just kind of creativity. So I'll have 3 different parts of the rubrics that I'm marking on. And it makes it a little more realistic because people don't just want creative if you're missing the answer. So it makes it nicely balanced. But anyways, that's what they're looking for too. And this is AI can help you with that. Okay, so this is infographic that I asked Notebook LM. We talked about that last week. Notebook LM is a learning system that allows you to put all your information into, and it'll create an infographic, a video, or a slide deck. So I created the PowerPoint for today that we're talking from. I uploaded that to Notebook LM and asked it then to create this a infographic. So this is the infographic representing everything in this presentation for you. So it's kind of like your little cheat sheet when you're looking at using AI to help you find and write your grant. I've created two of them because we all think a little differently. I have also created a podcast for you. Again, I uploaded afterwards the infographic, this PowerPoint, and to Notebook LM, and I asked it to create a podcast for you because some of you would rather not see something visual, but would rather understand it through listening. So we created a podcast. So Brittany will be sharing with you the podcast, the video, this one, as well as the infographics. So you have all the knowledge you need for each of the webinars that we've had together so far. So again, the first part is that it's a guiding principle to the today's session is how to find your funding. So go to Google Gemini. That seems to be the best one, I think, because it's owned by Google, in finding things online that are live, that are accurate. I'm finding that to be better than ChatGPT. So you go to your Gemini system, and in that case, you're going to look for um, the grants. And so in this case, I'm going to show you what you should say. So then once you've found your grants, you could use Gemini if you want to stay there, or you could use ChatGPT to upload the grant to it and say, this is the grant I want to win, and here is the grant. So you're uploading it. So it's reading the grant. And then all you want to do is ask me, and then I would ask AI to ask you questions so that you could fill in the grant information together. So that's pretty cool, right? And then sometimes you're going to need more visuals. So you may want to go to Canva, and it's now called Magic Design within Canva, and use the AI tools. And I'll show you what I mean by all this to create your visuals. But guess what? Oh, I want to say 2 weeks ago, Gemini released something called Nana Banana. And Nana Banana is a visual image generator on Gemini. So when we get to the visual part of this webinar together today, I'm going to show you a visual that Canva created and then one that Gemini created with the exact same prompt. Gemini's was really good. So you may be able to stay on Gemini for almost everything that we're doing here. Just to let you know, I've been really impressed with how Gemini is working these days. But in general, finding the grant, you want to use your Google Gemini. Drafting the answers to the grant, you want to use your ChatGPT. And then creating your pitch deck, you want to use Canva. And these individual aspects will save you a lot of time. So this is just a high-level presentation of what I just talked about. We're going to talk about targeting and finding the right grants first. So let's do that. So this was what I said in the prompt. I said, help me find non-repayable contributions. Non-repayable is what a grant is called. So it's funding that you get that's non-repayable, meaning you don't have to pay it back. A loan is something that you pay back. So there are loans out there. There are tools out there there are, I guess, mechanisms and people out there that will give you a loan and make part of it a loan, part of it a grant. So in this case, what Brittany asked me to do was just focus on grants. So grants equal non-repayable contribution. This is money attached. And like I said, sometimes it's attached to some loans that you never sorry, it's basically a loan to you, but it's not really a loan because you never pay it back. So they're really investing. Whoever is puts this together is investing in your future, which is pretty cool. So when I asked Google Gemini to look for non-repayable contributions or grants that youth entrepreneurs that are in the Saugeen First Nation might have access to. This is what it came out with. It came out with this list. So then all I said was, I am a youth entrepreneur from Saugeen First Nation searching for grants in 2025, 2026 that offer non-repayable contributions, specifically looking for info from, and then I listed all of them because now I asked where I find them. And then I listed all of them. Please provide me with the grant name, the percentage that is non-repayable, and the application link. So what happens here is there are some grants that you're going to find that there's a loan. So they might give you, like, say they say that we will give up to $5,000, but 50% of that is a grant and 50% of that you have to pay back. So you'll have to pay back 2,500. So that's where this comes back. I don't want you to get stuck thinking, oh, I just got this beautiful grant and then you have to pay part of it back. So knowing the percentage that is non-repayable is important because I want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. So, and then, is this for me? So then you want to know, once you find these individual grants, you want to ask it, is this grant for me? So here is the eligibility criteria for the grant. So you find a grant, you go onto the link, you cut and paste what's called the eligibility criteria. All grants have that. And all you're doing is you're reading through it, or you ask AI to look at the eligibility criteria, and then based on my business as a Indigenous, and then indicate the type of artist you are, perhaps what your age is. In Saugeen, do I qualify? And then summarize the 3 most important things you need to have to apply. So this will then tell you, yes, or you don't apply for this one because it's only for women and you happen to be a male, or you don't apply for this because it's for humans that are, under 16. I don't know if they have grants for humans under 16s, but so it'll tell you exactly if you apply or not. There are some grants out there that are agricultural based. There are some grants out there, so it really depends on what you're into, that are educational based. So you need to know what type of grant and if the criteria meets what you have. So here's a real world example of a grant, FNAFO youth program. This is a popular program that it actually offers up to 6,200 non-repayable contribution alongside a microloan. So how it works is you have a project for $21,000. So the loan is $13,100. So there is the loan part, and then the part that's non-refundable is only $6,200. So your contribution, and they want you to actually put in your own money of $1,000. So that might be something, I don't want that because you still have a loan. I still have to contribute. I just want the non-refundable. So it'll break it down for you. And that's what these things mean, just so that you know. So if the loan part means it's something you get a loan and you have no payment the first year, and then after that, you have to start paying it back. The contribution is the non-refundable, non-repayable part, is where you never have to pay this part back. And your contribution is you need to have $1,000 that you're putting towards this project. In this case, it's just an example. It would come up and tell you this. So the question then becomes, when do you get this money, and what do you have to track? So that's another part of it. This is managing the loan afterwards, or managing the grant. You normally have to give it reports as to how you use that money and if it met the criteria you originally asked for. So then once you know you actually meet the criteria, and once you see that, yeah, this is non-refundable, or yes, I can handle the loan part, let's apply, because there are some that you can say, no, I don't want to apply. There'll be others that, yeah, I can apply, and I'm going to really try and go for this. So every grant has a version of this question. The next question is, describe your business idea and how it will contribute to your personal income, how you're going to make more money, and the economic well-being of your community. So this is an actual question in this grant, and it seems to be in many of the grants that AI looked at on your behalf. So to start, all you would say is, I make beaded earrings and medallions. I learned it from my auntie. I want to buy more beads and maybe a better camera so I can sell them on Instagram. I use real leather quills and quills from this around Saugeen. And my business is called, and then put in your business name. Okay. So then it'll come out with something that is a winning, polished grant response. So there's a whole bunch of reasons this makes more sense. If you just put in this, it's okay, but having AI help you transform it, it knows what the grant writer is looking for. So the winning ish, I guess, polished version here shows your name, which makes sense, and that you're an Indigenous startup. So it's wanted to know that you're an Indigenous owned startup. It wants to know where you're based. So you can see economic resilience here, specializing in authentic beadwork. And then we create one of a kind quality jewelry, including earrings, medallions, a blend of, and now you got your cultural continuity is important in these grants. So that blend of traditional material, brain trained leather, birch bark, and porcupine quills that are contemporary design. So it's seeing the cultural continuity. And then it wants to know that you can it's something that is going to give you income. It's not something you're doing once, you're getting the $6,000 and then you can't continue. It wants to know it's sustainable, something that you're going to grow and you're going to continue. So then it continues. Our mission is to preserve intergenerational knowledge while providing customers wearable art that carries our full story, land and heritage. And then it wants to know that it's self-determination. This grant will allow us to scale our production. And that's the whole point here, is you want to grow and professionalize our digital storefront to reach, again, a larger audience. So you see all the aspects that are in here. There's power words that AI will sprinkle through your grant that you may or may not be familiar with, but after you win a few, you'll know, okay, this is what makes me win, these power words. And AI helps seed them throughout your grant information. So this is the transformation. This alone is going to help you. So again, this is I've actually now taken this and I've put it into a prompt for you, and I've copied the results in the next slide. But so use ChatGPT or Gemini for this step. So the bullet points, you put in bullets and then AI will write it for you. So the bullets I put in were, I am applying for this youth grant. My business is, I said what it was. I need to answer, how will I contribute to my income? And here are my facts. I want to sell 10 pieces a month to support my family. I want to use traditional materials. So I'm saying my traditional materials. I want to keep our traditions alive for my kids. So that's what you've said. And then the AI tasks. So remember, you're giving AI a task. So when we talk to AI in the prompts, like we learned, I think, 2 webinars ago, you have to give it a task. You have to tell it what you want. And so write a 250-word response that make these facts sound professional. Use terms like economic resilience, cultural continuity, sustainable income. Highlight that I am a maker from the Saugeen Fur Nation. So this is the prompt that we're going to give you through Brittany that you can use.
Yeah.
And then this was the answer that it gave us. So you can see it's now taken those words, it's made it the grant needed 250 characters, so it's made it into something professional. Again, you are the expert, so you need to go through it and make sure that it's accurate. So that's beautiful. Something you can use right away in your grant. So why this wins power words? Instead of saying making money, you're saying sustainable income and keeping traditions with cultural continuity. It connects with the land. So you can see that it's actually taking what you've said in those few bullets up here and
Are
it's
you
turned it
okay?
into, yeah, no,
That's
wait a
right.
second. Thank you for asking. Oh, okay. Hopefully I'm okay. So that's a beautiful little prompt and the answer. So we talked about why this wins. So here are just some of the power words that you want to think of using instead of saying making a job for myself, economic self-determination, helping my family, intergenerational well-being, teaching others, knowledge transfer and mentorship, using stuff from the woods. I mean, what we want to say instead is ethically sourced and land-based materials, starting a business, launching a sustainable enterprise. So you can see the difference. Again, I'm going to share this with you. So to make sure that you're using these kind of professional words in your grant response. So the grant winner's success checklist. So here's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you need to make sure you have. Is the human touch. Make sure it sounds like you. Voice check. Does it actually sound like you? I know we're putting in some power words, but it still needs to sound authentic. If it's too fancying or if it's too AI-ish, you need to ask AI to rewrite it so it's more friendly or it's more approachable. So make sure you do that because I'd hate for you to lose something because it doesn't sound too authentic. Be specific to your community. Make sure, did I mention my home community and specific family or land connections? So did you mention your connections appropriately? Is it missing? Because that's something you want to make sure you don't just overlook. AI doesn't know your personal story unless you tell it. So I'm hoping you've told it because I'm hoping we did the value add, you've done your marketing. So by this point, it should know you. But if we're jumping right into it at this point, AI won't know you. So you need to make sure you're training it. And then why? Why is your passion? Why is this something that you really believe in? Why are you the expert? Who taught you? And well, how are you really committed to this? So you want to make sure those things are there. That's checklist number 1. Okay. Then checklist number 2 is AI safety check and privacy. Make sure that you don't have your social insurance number, your bank details, or your private address when in anything that you are putting in as a prompt in AI. You can add that later to your final version of the grant, but don't upload these kind of things where people can steal your identity into the AI prompt. Okay, so when I'm telling you to add a prompt into AI to get your answer polished by AI, make sure you're not giving them these kind of things so you are secure and no one's stealing your private information. Fact check. Did AI hallucinate? AI still knows everything and can reach out to everything. So you need to make sure that the answer you're getting is really something you asked for versus all of a sudden it's giving you something that has nothing to do with you. So you are the expert. So double check the facts, the dates, the histories, so double check that information once you get it from AI. Math check as well. Just because AI did a financial budget for you, it's often correct because it's become so good at what it's doing. However, you still need to pull out your own calculator and just make sure that it actually makes sense. Because in your grant, it'll likely say, okay, if we give you $6,000, how are you going to use it? You're going to use, 1,000 to buy a new cell phone, 3,000 to do some marketing material. How are you going to use it? You want to make sure it adds up to 6 grand, right? So that's all I'm saying. And then the rubrics, I'm going to share with you exactly what the rubrics is in a second, but make sure that the questions in the rubrics you actually have information so that you can win the rubrics. So and often there's a word count. When you are answering a grant, it'll often say, I need an answer to your background in maybe 150 words or less. Like it'll tell you how long each thing should be. If you're over, they don't like that. They frowned upon that in in looking and judging if you should win this. Okay. And then the final piece is you often they're going to ask, do you have your status card scanned and attached? Again, you're not going to put that in up to AI, but you're going to make sure it's part of the grant. You probably need a business logo if you haven't created one. You can get help from Canva to create it. You can get help from Gemini, Nana Banana to create it. So, and then pictures of your product. They want to see your services or your product, whichever it is that you're creating. They want to see pictures of that. So people really don't need a good camera. You need a really good phone. That's going to help you with your photos. That's going to help you with your social media. That's going to help you with so many different things. So make sure that you have a phone that takes amazing images and videos. And then naming conventions. When you submit this is a big one, and I don't know why people mess this one up. This happens to me at Trent University when people are submitting their final projects as well. Instead of saying their name, they put in assignment one. Well, which class was this for, and who are you? So when I'm marking it, and sometimes they even forget to put their name when I open it up, and it's like, oh, where did this come from? And it's like you really have to guess. So, what you want to make sure is just don't call your submission, if you're saving it as a PDF, which is often how they'd like to see the final grant submitted. You're going to save it as a PDF. Don't submit it as final draft, or don't submit it as something that makes no sense. Instead, put in your name and indicate what it is. I always like to put the date on it as well. So when you submit it, they can match it up to who you are. Okay. And make sure you submit it at least 24 hours before the deadline. That's huge because you don't want to put it on the website and there's a website glitch. Like today, a half hour before this webinar started, there was a power outage. So imagine if I needed to submit a grant and there was just a half hour left to submission and there's a power outage. Like, oh, come on, right? So you need to make sure. So what's the rubric? I talked about it a few times. So it's the grant scoring system. And what you would do is upload the rubric to AI saying, this is how they're going to measure me. Now, here is my answer. Make sure, can you, please grade my draft against the criteria and tell me which points I'm missing. So that is the prompt you would use once you know what the scoring system is. So a rubric is generally a scoring guideline or a cheat sheet that the grant reviewers use so that they're fair when they're marking each one of the grants, so that they know that it's not just because it's written really pretty, it actually has all of the criteria that we need to give the $6,000 to. So think of it like a sports card. You get points for accuracy, points for speed, points for technique. So in a grant, you get points for how well you explain your business, your community impact, and your budget. Those three things generally. So this generally is what we're seeing in the grants that you're going to be answering that AI has pulled together for us, is what they're seeing as your rubric or as a scoring mechanism. So your cultural connection. If you're kind of vague in how you're connected back to your culture, then you might just get 1 point. But if you deeply explain the history and how you've learned it and how it honors your ancestors, you'll get 5 out of 5. So cool, right? So why not get 5 out of 5? Because that history is there. So you need to make sure you explain it. Project feasibility. Is this something that you can actually do? Sometimes people forget to say that, yes, I can do this. I've been doing this for years and I just need a little extra funding so I can buy some more materials. Like, why? So if there's no clear plan, you can, make sure you're not going to get your 5 out of 5. So you have a detailed timeline and specific quotes for costs that are included. And AI will help you pull all that together. So once it sees what the evaluation scoring requirements are, it sees what your draft is. It'll tell you you're missing your feasibility. Here is what I recommend. And again, you're the expert, so you're going to put in the parts that are missing. And then community impact, it wants to make sure that it's not just benefiting you. It needs to make sure that there's a clear plan. Perhaps you're going to grow one day and you're going to hire. That's worth a lot of points. Or you're going to source material from other local humans. That's huge as well. So how are you going to affect the community? So they want to know that. I mean, obviously, if you're not going to hire humans, but you are going to source from local, that's a good thing because you're actually impacting the local community. Mention teaching or others, one or two others. So also mentoring is what this means. You mentoring others if you're not really going to hire someone, but perhaps you're going to mentor others. That is a good outcome of community impact. Okay. So giving back. So now that you've pulled it together, that's helped you write it, by having these few steps, now you might want to polish it with some um, images. So if you don't have your own high definition images yet, you can actually go to Canva or Nano Banana and actually ask it for some images. This is where you're going to use your prompt techniques that we learned when we were together the first time. So I'm also going to give you a couple prompts that you can use. But you can also, if you'd like to have a cool textured background in your PowerPoint or in the document that you're submitting, you could ask our friend Canva to do that for you because Canva now has this it's called Magic Media. When you go into Canva, there's a whole AI suite where you can tell it what you'd like and it'll create it for you. So if you don't happen to have a custom background, maybe you want some cool textures. So it's, not just a plain white. Maybe you want some textures on there. Ask it to create a bunch and use the one you want. Again, that would be part of your Canva tool set that you currently have, I hope. And then often you are writing this with ChatGPT or Gemini already, so you may not need the magic right, but Canva now allows you to give it bullets and it'll write it for you as well. So that's something you could decide if you want to use Canva versus one of the other AI tools that we just discussed. And then the pitch. You can actually ask Canva to create a presentation. So in AI, you can describe the kind of presentation you want in Canva. You go to Canva, you go to the AI app part of Canva, and you say, I want this pitch deck for my business, and let AI create the pitch deck. So of course you'd want to tell it why it is. You're answering this grant and you want it to be just 5 pages long and you want these bullets, you indicate the bullets that you want in it and it'll create the actual PowerPoint for you. So that's something. Then from Canva, you can download it as a PDF or you can download it as a PowerPoint if you want. So whichever tool you use. So this is what we were talking about is going to Magic Media on Canva. And you could say, create a close-up high-quality photo of a natural birch bark exterior with soft sunlight. So this is what it created on Canva. So that's kind of cool because maybe you want to use this somewhere. And then the source code is I am making when you are trying to create your what's it called? Your deck on Canva. If you want to do that, I'm making a 5-slide pitch deck for a grant. What should be on each slide to tell the story of my business and indicate what the business is, connect to the land and the community. So you can do that as well. However, saying that, I think I showed you how to use Notebook LM last week. You could actually put the information that you've gathered so far um, and put it into a Notebook LM and ask it to create a PowerPoint for you or a slide deck as well. There's so many different ways to do this with AI right now. So it's a matter of what you're comfortable with. If you're already comfortable with Canva, it's got some great AI tools. If you're not comfortable with Canva anyhow, and you want to use another free tool, Notebook LM is pretty powerful. It can take everything you've done to date, which is you can upload your criteria, you can upload what you've written so far, and it can create the deck for you. So that's pretty cool. So this is your kind of cheat sheet on Canva. is it now has magic media where it's going to take text and turn it into an image. If you don't already have a high resolution kind of information or image, it can magic write in Canva. So when you're in Canva itself, you'll see that there's this little sparkle that happens next to each paragraph. You can click on it and and you can have it become more professional. You can have it shorten it. So it can use AI right in Canva now to help with your grant. Magic design, you can ask it for the pitch deck, as we said. Let me, build the first X slides, and just then you put in your own text. And Canva video, it actually will turn from text into a video now as well. Feature a 5-second video on each slide of moving landscape or something that's going to bring more meaning to that slide if you want. So this one I used in Canva. I just used the write magic and I asked it to shorten these sentences. So it went from this to this. So it just shortened each one and they still make sense. And it went in and shortened each one for me. So that's what I meant by this. This one, I went into Canva Magic Media and I said, generate a high resolution background like birch bark or forest. So Canva created this one and that one. So I could use this on the back of my PowerPoint or even in my document if I want, or I can use this. And so these are both really high resolution, so they would print really nice. Then I went into Nano Banana and I asked it to do the same thing. And here is what Nano Banana created. So its digital media is really amazing. So it created something beautiful. I love the birch woods. I don't know what it's doing right here, but I do love this very much. So again, there are so many different AI tools that you give it the prompt and see what it comes out with, and you may decide that you're going to use some of this in your grant. One of the things that I didn't mention here, we talked about the authentic in part number 1 of your checklist, making sure it's authentic. I like you putting in a photo of yourself in the bio of you because I think that just personalizes it. How can I say no once I see you, right? It personalizes it. It really makes a point that I'm a real human. So when it asks for about the entrepreneur, it's going, and you're going to put in a little bit of a bio, I suggest you put in a photo of yourself. And this one happens to be in Canva. I went into Canva and I asked it to create, again, a high resolution of a background like birch bark. So it created this. So it really depends on your personality and what you want it to look like. But there's so many options to creating your high resolution images that you might need. So just to wrap up, you want use a Google Gemini to find the grants. Drafting your answers, you can use ChatGPT if that's what you're comfortable with. So you're going to give it the bullets of what you want, and it's going to share with you the answers. I've been using Gemini lately for almost everything on here because I'm finding Google Gemini to be so powerful since they relaunched it last week. It's really faster than all the other ones now. And then design your decks. You could use that in Canva to design your decks. It does save a lot of hours of designing. And then finally, proofreading your information. You could use Grammarly. It's free, but I would rather just upload the document again to Google Gemini and have it look at it for me. So this I already talked about. Again, you're the artist and you're using AI as the needle to go out and find the information for you. I just want to show you a couple things. I've mentioned them and I realized I should probably show you. When I look at, um, we are right here. When I look at how to use Notebook LM, notebook.google.com could be a way to help you answer your grant. I would do a source here and upload the grant. I would click on upload and upload the grant so it becomes part of the source files. Then I would probably cut and paste who I am right here. If you happen to have a website, again, I would add it to all the source, click on here, add the website as a link. So then I would go over here and I would say, okay, create if I go to the studio, I would say create a slide deck on, you're in the way, create a slide deck over here and indicate what you'd like. I'm answering this grant. I need a 5 page slide deck. Please create a slide deck. And it will create your own slide deck if you want. So that's really cool. Or if you want a full video, it'll create the full video. So what I did over here for you all is I created find your future AI guide, find your grant. So that you could even ask it to create a infographic for you about the grant you've submitted. That would be really professional. So here, what I did was I went into the custom prompt and I said, create an infographic from video webinar 1, AI intro, value proposition, and I told it what I wanted. And then it created, oops, to move you out of the way. And it creates that for me. So if I look at then, so let's just look at the one I showed you earlier. So it created this for me, which was an AI grant writing guide. So this could be, you could go in, like I said, upload all your grant information and ask it to create an infographic for you. That would be really cool that you submit. Or you could go in and ask it to create a video. Let me see if this is a video. Yeah, so you could ask it to create a video based on what you've uploaded. So you won't be able to hear this because of the mode we're in, but you can see that it'll create the video for you. So there's so many different ways that you could use Notebook LM to also help you win that grant. So it's just something that I thought of as I was presenting. That would be really powerful. I'm hoping you might consider that. Okay.